Hello, welcome to Raymond Castile's Basement of Horror. Today we're going to look at this box and see what's inside. Bunch of plastic bags. Let's see here. Okay, well, we have a little Yeti. Now this is a modern piece. This was sold at Kohl's department store in, let's see, I want to say Christmas 2017. Yeah, Christmas 2017. Here's another Yeti. This guy's playing cards, it looks like. He's like a blackjack dealer or something. And in addition to these little Yetis, they also had a big, full-size Yeti, as big as a person. And I have that. It's over there. I don't know if you'll be seeing it or not. It's pretty huge. But it looks just like these, only it's 5.5 feet tall. These are cute, but I have some other things in here that you might be more interested in. This is a box full of cryptozoology critters. Bigfoot, Nessie, and Yeti. That's what's in this box. And these are the most recent things that went in there. So let's put them away, put them back in this bag. I don't want to get their white fur dirty. Put them over here. All right. This is another cryptid. Now he's sealed in this bag. I don't want to take him out of there. This is the bag we shipped in. This is a Finding Bigfoot, stuffed Bigfoot from Animal Planet. Let's see. I don't know if you can get a good look at him. There, you can see his face. He's really cute. Oh, he looks all sad, like, Get in there. Yeah, light's reflecting off the plastic. But yeah, you can see him. There you go. And it says press here. So let's see what he sounds like. No, his batteries have gone dead, unfortunately. Oh well. That's why he looks sad, I guess. That's okay. Don't be sad. He's cute. So this is another modern piece. This is from the show Finding Bigfoot. Stuffed animal with howling sound. It's got a little profile of Bigfoot there. He's neat. But this is, of course, also modern. Put him there. Now we're getting to some interesting things. What is this? Okay, let's see if we can see this. It's a big burlap sack. Can you see in there? See the Bigfoot on there? And it says Bigfoot brand. Join me for a joint at 420. Marijuana Sasquatch Growers. Marijuana Sasquatch Growers Incorporated. Seattle, Portland, Corvallis, Eugene, Grants Pass, Spokane. What's on the sides here? West's Wildest Weed. 55 kilos. AAA grade. Oh, I didn't even notice this. The Bigfoot is smoking a joint. See? This is from 2016. Wow. This is an interesting piece. Boy, now I've got burlap fuzz all over this black velvet. Okay, let's just put that right there. Let's see here. Now, this is also a modern piece, and I remember some friends gave this to me. I wonder if I got that at the same time I got this, because I know exactly who gave this to me. This is a set of cryptozoological figurines. You've got Yeti, Nessie, coelacanth. I don't know what else is in there. It looks like a giant squid. Looks like it's coming apart there. It's got a crack in it. Safari Limited, Cryptozoology. This is obviously a modern piece. But I remember that this was a gift. I remember when I got that. So I'm thinking maybe the marijuana sack might have come with this. I don't remember. Might have been part of the same gift. But I do remember getting this and who gave it to me. Okay, so speaking of coelacanth, here's a coelacanth right here. Same company, Safari Limited. Another modern piece. It's a coelacanth. All right. So we're getting to some more vintage pieces now. All right, this is a patch, kind of patch that you sew on. This is the Piasa Bird. The Piasa Bird is a creature of folklore in Alton, Illinois, which is near the area where I live. And it's sort of like the mascot of the city. I would invite you to Google if you want to find out the whole history of the Piasa Bird. But basically, it's a dragon-like creature that was drawn on the side of a cliff. It's a pictoglyph. So it's sort of, I think, chiseled in and then painted. I think that's what was supposed to have originally been. It was like kind of etched into the side of the cliff and then painted as well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And it was, I think it was Pierre Marquette who discovered it. Could be wrong about that. It's been, I read some books about it, several years ago when I was sort of in a phase where I was really into the Piasa Bird. But I don't have all this committed to memory. But some early explorers saw the pictoglyph, hope I'm pronouncing that right, saw it on a cliff in Alton and recorded it in their notes, their notebooks, and it became kind of a legend. The original drawing, the pictoglyph, was destroyed in the 19th century, stupidly destroyed. They dynamited the cliff to make way for a railroad, I think, something like that, or a highway. No, too early for highways. It would have been a railroad, I'm sure. And I guess it's stupid. I mean, they had photography at the time, but they didn't take a picture of it. And considering the historical importance of the thing, it was already a legend at that time. You mean to tell me they couldn't have moved the railroad this way or instead that way. Ridiculous. Stupid, stupid. But I was going to do a documentary on the Piasa Bird way back. We're talking 20 years ago, like in the 90s. That's when I was reading about the Piasa. That's why my memory's not very fresh about it. I was going to do a documentary about it, and I interviewed some local historians and enthusiasts in the Alton area. Not on camera. I didn't get to that point, but I interviewed them in person or on the phone. And I got every book I could that mentioned the Piasa Bird. And it became apparent very quickly that it was an utter piece of fiction. I went into it thinking it was more cryptozoological, like a Thunderbird. If Thunderbird is like Bigfoot or Nessie, it's a Native American legend, but it's also in the present day something that people actually see. They report sightings of Thunderbirds. There are records of Thunderbirds. There's a documentary coming out this year, 2019, about Thunderbirds. I think it's called Terror in the Sky, something like that. So there's the actual meat on those bones when you're talking about Thunderbirds. It's something, and full disclosure, I have seen what I think is a Thunderbird. Okay. That's a story for another day. It's not much of a story. It's not very exciting. But the only paranormal thing I've ever seen or experienced overtly is one day I saw in the Illinois area what I guess was a Thunderbird. I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was, maybe it's just mistaken identity. But that's. Let's see how long this video is. If I feel like I've got time, maybe at the end, I'll tell you about that story. But I discovered after researching the Piasa Bird that there just wasn't anything to it. There wasn't anything to make a documentary about. Even though people had written books about it, it was a lot of BS. Yes, there was a pictoglyph. Maybe it had wings like this. Maybe it didn't. Probably did not. The legend of the Piasa, how it would eat Native Americans, and they had battles with it, and a brave hero in a tribe fought the Piasa and killed it, and there was a cave that had bones in it. There was this whole mythology of the Piasa Bird. And you could easily, just with a little bit of research, even not exactly pre-internet, but in the early days of the internet, without using the internet, just going to libraries and reading some books, it was so easy to trace where these things came from, the works of fiction, the short stories that gave birth to this legend. It was very easy to trace it to the source, the primary source, and see exactly where it came from. And so basically there was something drawn on a side of a cliff hundreds of years ago. And yeah, some explorers saw it, but it probably looked like just, probably a jaguar or something like that, drawn on the side of the cliff. And they created some very fanciful reproductions in their notebooks of what this thing looked like. They elaborated considerably on what it looked like and made it look more like a European-style dragon. And that was that. And then decades after the fact, a short story writer wrote a story inspired by that, where he imagined this legend of the Piasa Bird. And his short story became obscured over time, and people thought it was a real legend. It was. Imagine if we thought the legend of Sleepy Hollow was a real legend, and that people really honestly had sightings of the Headless Horseman that actually happened. It was like that, except he wasn't as famous as Washington Irving, so his name was obscured in time, and his story became ambiguous, the origin of the story, until people thought it was an actual legend from the Native Americans passed down. And then there were some other tall tales that were added to it over the years. And then different people drew the Piasa Bird when it was still there, and they drew it, everyone who drew it drew a different way. I don't know. So anyway, I've got other Piasa Birds. This just happened to be what's in here, but I have some other Piasa Bird things. I don't know if I'd have to dig them up. They're not readily available. But so even despite knowing that, I still like the Piasa Bird just as a piece of folklore, not a legend, not cryptozoology, but as folklore, which it is. It's definitely a piece of folklore. Like Paul Bunyan, it's as a character of folklore. I'm very interested in the Piasa Bird, and I would love to have like a stuffed Piasa Bird toy or something like that. There actually was a modern plastic action figure of the Piasa. It was for, was it Venture Brothers or one of those shows I don't watch. One of those shows that everybody else watches and I don't. I think it was Venture Brothers, I'm not sure. But they actually made a mainstream toy, the Piasa Bird, which I don't have. I should have it. If it wasn't mainstream, if it was something in a gift shop, I'd have it. But because it's from Toys R Us, I guess I kind of turn my nose up at it. That's too mainstream for me. Oh well. I can be kind of snooty about things sometimes. Okay, so let's see here. Now we're getting into the older stuff. Oh, I should get that one. I'll probably be stopping this video in a second to get something. So I should stop and tell you a little bit about why does this box exist. This box is full of stuff like this. Why does this box exist? As a kid, I loved Bigfoot and Yeti and the Loch Ness Monster, and I read all those children's books that were written for kids about those, what we now call cryptozoological creatures. I'm trying to remember all the different authors. I'll butcher their names. I better not. But there were several authors that specialized in writing things for kids and young adults, nonfiction books, and every school library had a shelf full of these things, and I lived at that shelf. When I went to the library as a kid, that's the shelf I went to, and once I checked everything out 3 or 4 times each, I kept hoping every year they'd get new ones. And then whenever they had the monthly Scholastic book, I don't know if it was monthly or quarterly, whatever, but you know, you get the catalog and you'd order books and then you'd wait and wait. It was such a big deal, and that box came full of the Scholastic books for everybody. Like, oh boy. There was a monster book, either movie monsters or paranormal monsters or both. I would always have 1 or 2 books like that arrive in that box. Everyone else was getting, like, I don't know, Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew or whatever. I was getting Bigfoot or movie monsters, or both. And then there were book fairs where they'd set up the shelves, like in the library, and you could actually buy the book right then and there. You wouldn't have to wait for it to come in the mail. And, you know, they have all the little books. And where I work, we still have book fairs sometimes. Or at least we did until the last couple of years, because I work in a school type of environment and with a lot of kids. And I was kind of tickled when we did have the annual book fair. I don't know if we haven't had one in a while. Maybe we don't do it anymore. We did several years. We had the annual book fair. And it was very nostalgic to go in there, like when I was a kid, and see all the books on the shelves. It would like a pop-up, what we now today call a pop-up. It would set it up. It would be there for like a day or two. They would take it down. Well, when I was a kid, I would go to those book fairs in the libraries, and of course I'd buy Bigfoot books. And I still have them. They're through this door and around the corner, sitting on a shelf. I should, you know, there's so many things I'm thinking now. I could get this, I could get that, and have it all here, but now we'll stick to what's in this box. So I grew up reading those crazy books and watching, of course, In Search of, with Leonard Nimoy, The Real In Search Of, not a stupid remake In Search Of, but The Real In Search Of. I love that show. Watched it every week, first run, and then syndicated. I don't know how many times a week it was on in syndication, but I wouldn't miss that. And I saw the Bigfoot documentary narrated by Rod Serling. I believe that was produced by David L. Wolper, the guy who produced Willy Wonka. And then I saw the feature film version of that, narrated and hosted by Mission Impossible guy. Oh, what's his name? Peter Graves. That movie, The Mysterious Monsters. Oh, wow. I remember the commercials for that and the ads for that. And it was one of the first movies I saw at the theater. Well, no. The first movies I saw at the theater were like Super Beast and Theater of Blood, and Arnold, about the dead guy in the casket, but he still seems to be murdering people even though he's dead. Those are the crazy movies I saw as a kid. And The Mysterious Monsters was one of the first movies in that kind of early mid-70s time frame. And that movie scared me to death. And that was about Bigfoot, Yeti, and the Loch Ness Monster. And of course I saw I saw Creature from Black Lake on TV. I saw Sasquatch at the theater and some other things. I did not see The Legend of Boggy Creek. I hate to say I didn't even know The Legend of Boggy Creek existed. I just missed that as far as my age. You know, if it's like two planes colliding, I just missed it. If I'd been born just a couple of years earlier, or it had been released a couple of years later, I would have been all over that movie. But I just missed it. So I saw the movies that came out in its wake. It inspired this whole genre of Bigfoot movie. And I saw those. I saw the movies that were cashing in on it. Like The Legend of Bigfoot. Oh, brother, those commercials, when they would have like that kind of Bigfoot point of view shot and this music, and they show the forest, and the narrator would say something like, "This is Bigfoot country." I was hiding under the bed, or behind the couch, like the Doctor Who fans say, hiding behind the couch. Yeah, I was terrified. Every time that commercial came out, I ran and hid behind something. I couldn't take it. And the poster for that movie, the Bigfoot under the tree, which I now know was stolen from a Terrence Malick film. The poster for a Terrence Malick film, they ripped it off and just put Bigfoot in there. And, oh gosh! But it is a great poster nonetheless. So I've got that poster. I've got a whole collection of Bigfoot posters. Pretty much any Bigfoot movie ever made, I've got the poster. Or a Yeti movie. I've got the Hammer Yeti one sheet. I've got all the 50s Yeti movie posters. And so I've got quite a few Bigfoot posters. Oh, Shriek of the Mutilated, one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Shriek of the Mutilated. Honestly, you say, what's your top 10 favorite movies? It's on there. I love that movie. I know it's not a good movie. It's a terrible movie. It's an awful movie, but I love it. It's a great movie. Great, terrible movie. I don't have any... Well, yes, I do. I was going to say I don't have any Shriek memorabilia. That's not true. I do. But we're not going to see it today. Let's see. It's from the 70s. This is a Bigfoot bottle opener, and it shows a container of ketchup. Oh, it doesn't open it. It's a cap. So you open the bottle and then you stick it in here, and then you can hold it upside down. And it can, so like if you have this is before they started making ketchup shaped so that so that the opening was on the bottom. This is back like when they still had the old-fashioned ketchup bottles. So you'd open it and you could store it in this foot. So it would be upside down and ready to pour. So you see the Bigfoot illustration there. And that's the foot, and that's where the ketchup would go. It shows an illustration of a bottle of ketchup there stuck on this, upside down. Let's see here. I think we'll put that there. Well, let's stick with Bigfoot for the moment. Here's a 90s piece. This is Just Toys Bendy of Harry Henderson, from Harry and the Hendersons. Let's see if I can get rid of that glare. No. I think that's okay. Can you see him? I know there's all this plastic. It's hard to see with all the glare. Well, he's in there. Take my word for it. So he's a rubber bendy, and I've got a stuffed Harry Henderson. Again, it's over on the other side there. This is nice. So we still haven't quite got back to the era that I'm talking about. The classic era of Bigfoot. We're kind of going back in time further and further. Let's see, where should I put him? Will he fit there? Nah, I'm going to have to put him on the ground here. No, I don't want to. I'll put him here. There we go. I'm going to stick with Bigfoot here. Okay. Here's a Bigfoot combs. These are from... Does it have the date? No, it doesn't have the date. Well, it looks 70s, and they were made in Kansas City, Missouri. Bigfoot combs. So it's a giant comb shaped like a big footprint. And you can see that 70s lettering. Very 70s. And the style of the thing is very 70s. It reminds me of, like the Crazy radio. There was this circular radio that was this weird circular shape, like a donut, kind of shaped like a bagel, and you could take it apart and twist it. I don't know why, but these remind me of just the aesthetic of these things, that plastic, round, bright colored plastic aesthetic. This is like typical 70s stuff. Boy, there's a lot of stuff in this box. Well, let's switch to a different monster here. Now this is definitely a vintage item. I don't remember what year this is, but I think it's pretty darn early. In fact, I think it might be 60s. This is it Sakuda? Can't see there. I want to say Sakuda. Yes, there it is, Sakuda. This is a Sakuda battery-operated Loch Ness monster. Now that, I believe, is a 60s toy, not 70s. I used to know exactly when was this made. Yeah, the text on it is Japanese. But that is I'm pretty sure this is 60s. This is not 70s. This is 60s. Could be wrong, but I think it's 60s. I don't know if you can see Nessie in there very well. it's kind of a cartoonish Nessie. It's cute, but it's not like a serious looking dinosaur kind of thing. It's more of a cartoony Nessie. But I like that it's got a map of Loch Ness on the top, showing Nessie's habitat. It's got a little drawing of Nessie in Loch Ness. It's got the famous castle right there. Shows how it works, how Nessie submerges. And so, of course, since it's white, when I put it in front of the camera, it darkens down. Now it brightens up. Well, it's the iris closing up. You can see it, though. Shows how it works. And apparently there's a whale in the set. So that's cool. That is a vintage monster toy. I mean, it doesn't get much more vintage monster toy than that. I better put that away later. We'll just leave it right there for now. What else we got in here? Oh my goodness. We've got a lot of Nessie stuff, some interesting stuff. Okay, well this is a 90s Nessie from a movie called Loch Ness. It's a Loch Ness monster. Has the movie logo on him. And this was made by a company called Shadowbox Collectibles, and I have a whole set of Shadowbox Collectibles figurines. Shadowbox Collectibles, they came in these big boxes, and they had like a window where you could see the figurine of the monster and its environment. And they came with a scroll that had the legend of the monster on it. So they had Bigfoot and Yeti and Nessie, pretty much the same as this one, only many times larger. The full-size one was like this. And they had a unicorn, a dragon, a centaur, a little gray alien. What else? It seems like I'm forgetting one. Probably. And then they had some other figures of little aliens, like they had Men in Black, not the movie, this was before the movie, and other different types of aliens, like Nordic alien or reptile alien. Oh, and then they had a series of ghost figures, like different kinds of ghosts that were on bubble cards, and I have those too. So I have a lot of Shadowbox Myths and Legends toys. Not in this box, but I have that one in this box. Let's keep going. Well, this is nice. So I think these are identical. The one in the bag looks like it's a little nicer condition, so we'll just leave them there. We'll look at this one. This is a Loch Ness monster, and I love this toy. It's made of a PVC kind of material. It's not jiggly like a oily rubber jiggler, but I would still call it a jiggler though. It's got this elastic band on it. It was obviously made to hang from like a rear view mirror in a car. That's what a lot of those jigglers, that's why they had these bands. That was kind of the idea. You'd hang them from your rear view mirror in your car. That was kind of the point of the elastic band. But of course kids would just kind of jiggle them around. So it's my understanding that this is actually supposed to be the Loch Ness monster, and you can see, I mean, a lot of toys are just like a plesiosaur, but you can say it's the Loch Ness monster if you want to play like it is. This is actually the Loch Ness monster. I mean, you can see the humps. It's got the famous 3 humps of the Loch Ness monster. It's got the giraffe-like stalks of the Loch Ness monster, kind of like a giraffe. It's got the flippers, like a, so it is the Loch Ness Monster. And it was my understanding that these were sold in the Loch Ness gift shop. There's a gift store at Loch Ness. It's been there forever. And a friend of mine who'd been there told me that years ago, I don't know, it was like late 70s, early 80s, these things were in that gift shop. Let me see if I can read what it says here. Okay, so I'm trying to read this little writing. It says something about the UK, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like I see the UK there. Or is it UN? I think it's UK. So that would indicate that this is a British toy, which just, you know, confirms what I already know, that it's the Loch Ness Monster. If you can see his face. He's got a cute little face. So I really like this because it isn't just a dinosaur, it's actually the Loch Ness Monster. And I think it's like late 70s, early 80s, in that time frame. Okay, what else we got? Now this is cool. Now, to do this justice, I've got to take it out of the bag. Because this plastic is kind of cloudy and you can't really see it very well. I try not to take things out of the bag if I can help it, because they've survived this long. So many of these things I'm showing you, they've been in these bags for 20 years. And they're still in great shape, and that's why, because I don't take them out. And also because it just gets to be a mess with all these bags. I mean, trying to show you things, and meanwhile I'm like drowning in bags. It doesn't really work. So here is a sea serpent. I know where I got this too. I remember this was a gift, and I remember who gave it to me. So he is quite an amazing little jiggler. He is like oily rubber jiggler. And I love his comical, like, funny look. His flippers are kind of bending like upward from being in this bag. That's not good. But he's in great shape. I think I've seen one other example of this thing. I don't think I have another one. I think this is the only one I've got. But I do think I've seen this one other time, like on eBay. So I don't know what he is exactly. I mean, he could be Nessie. He could be just a sea serpent. He could be a dragon, but he's got these flippers. He doesn't have dragon feet, he has flippers. He's a sea serpent. He's really cute. Let's see here. That's another modern piece. I don't think we need to look at a lot of modern pieces. Let's keep going. This will be important later. Put that over there. Ah, okay. Better take him out of the package. All right, so you're familiar with the Kenner Bionic Bigfoot. What you don't know is that, maybe, is that Kenner made a 3 3/4 inch Bionic Bigfoot. Just looking at him, making sure he's okay. So this is, one arm's really loose. This is a 3 3/4 inch Kenner Bionic Bigfoot from the era when the show was on TV, the $6 Million Man. This is from the 70s. This is not a modern piece. This is from the 1970s. And he is a 3 3/4 inch Bionic Bigfoot from Kenner. But he wasn't sold on a blister card like Star Wars figures. He was part of a racing set where he and Steve Austin each had some kind of a, I don't know, it was like a, not really like a car, more like a little rocket, I think. 2 little rocket type racing cars. And that's why he's got this sort of like he's mowing the lawn or something. Looks, you know, his pose is like he's mowing the lawn. Well, no, so that he could go into this vehicle and hold the steering wheel. And I guess you pumped it or spun it or something, and it went off, and they could have a race. And you can see he's got white eyes. Maybe you can see it, I don't know. We'll set him over here. Okay, so because we looked at him, I will show you something that's not in this box. Since we looked at him, I think we should see this. So this is the full-sized Bionic Bigfoot. This is the large Kenner action figure that was made for the $6 Million Man series. And he's kind of big to see on this camera. You can't really see the whole thing on there. Well, let's see. Let's see on this one. There we go. You can see him in there. And there's his illustration of how he's attacking Steve Austin. There's maybe Steve Austin is attacking him. You can see some of the illustrations on the back that show how he works. And here's that, there's a cute little illustration down there. See if we can get it framed. I like that. And I do have a childhood one. I had this toy in childhood, and he's around here somewhere. I think his arms might have fallen off. It would take a while to find him. I don't think he's readily available. But I still have the figure, and he still has his chest plate. I still have my childhood figure. This is not from childhood. This I bought as an adult. But I have the one from childhood. I think his arms fell off, though, because with Bigfoot and Chewbacca and Darth Vader and the alien, all those large Kenner figures, they had arms constructed a certain way where there was like a hook or something in the arm, and it's like a rubber cord stretching between the two arms to hold it in place. All those figures, that cord gets old and brittle and it breaks, and then their arms fall off. This one, the arms are still on there because they are still on there, right? Yeah, because he's been in the box the whole time. I would imagine if I took him out of here and started moving his arms around, they'd probably fall off. And that's probably true for any boxed Bigfoot or alien or Darth Vader or Chewbacca. Maybe other figures, but those four in particular. In the box, they might still be okay, but once you take them out, if you start moving it, they're going to break. Not every single one, but a lot of them. I have my childhood alien, and his arms are still on, but I don't touch them. They're very loose. There's no tension whatsoever. I imagine if I start moving him around, I'm sure they break off. But my childhood Bionic Bigfoot, I think the arms are broken off. My brother had Chewbacca, and he's still around here somewhere, and I know his arms are broke off. It's just a design flaw with those things. But in case you don't know, the Bionic Bigfoot, if you punch him in the chest plate flies off, and there's like a hole where Steve Austin can grip him and like lift him up. It's cute. What else we got in here? Hello. We're going to stop the video there because it's just way too long. We're going to pick it up again in the next video. We'll make that part two of the cryptozoology box. Now this is that giant Kohl's Yeti I was telling you about. Look how big he is. I can't even get him all in frame, he's so big. He's tremendous. Gosh, look at that. He's huge. And he was a Christmas display 2017 at Kohl's, and they had this guy in a chair, like a decorative chair, almost like a throne, kind of like the one that a shopping mall Santa would use. And I think the idea was that people were taking pictures with him. They weren't exactly sitting in his lap. Some people might have been, but they were standing next to that chair, and it was like a photo op, something to attract attention, and it worked. While I was standing there was a lot of people who took a picture next to him, kind of like what I'm doing right here. And he wasn't supposed to be for sale, but I was able to buy him. I think it cost like $75, something like that. Not too bad. It was under $100 for sure. So I think I got quite a bit for my money. He is a big old Yeti. I can't even get them all in there. He's so big. Now I told you about my sighting of a Thunderbird. I said I tell you about that at the end of the video. So here goes. Now I apologize if the audio quality is not very good. This is an iPhone video, so I can use a selfie stick to get this guy in the shot. And I apologize generally for the technical quality of this cryptid video, because I can see there's glitches in the video, and I'm going to try to address that for future videos, but it's kind of glitchy, I know, so please accept my apologies for that. But now about this Thunderbird sighting. Let's see if I can do this quickly. Alright. This was spring of 2009. I was making a short film. It was a short film about Bigfoot, actually. And I was scouting for locations. I had an appointment with the woman who owned a particular tract of land. It was like a wooded area behind her house. And she was in southern Illinois, like southwestern Illinois, still technically in the St. Louis area, but it was a little bit more of a rural, wooded kind of area. And I was driving out to meet her, and I was very focused on making sure I got there on time, because it was very important to get this location. And I was driving down this wooded road. I mean, there was just trees on every side of the road. It wasn't like St. Louis in the city or in the suburbs. It was out in a wooded area. I was driving down this road. No stop signs, no traffic lights, just winding forest road. And then something caught my eye in the trees ahead. So the trees were kind of overhanging the road, the branches of the trees. And something caught my eye, and I thought it was an owl. I said, oh, look, an owl. Cool. I like owls. But then I said, that's not an owl. What is that? I kind of slowed my car a little bit as it was starting to come overhead. and it looked like, I thought it must be a bat. It had featherless wings, so the wings were skin instead of feather. I didn't know what I was seeing. And it was like there was a branch, and it kind of flew off one end of the branch. It flapped around, and then kind of flew back into the tree. So about I don't know, a 10-foot span of this branch. It was like in the branch and came down, flap, 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 and then went up again to like another branch. And then it was hard to see. There was other leaves in front of it then. And as I was driving, I was thinking, okay, that's not an owl. It's too big to be a bat because the wingspan was like, I don't know, 6 or 8 feet. It was a very large. It was about the size of a big eagle. We have eagles here, like bald eagles and other big birds come through this area. So I've seen big birds like that, and it was that size. It was like a big bird of prey, and only it didn't have feathers. I didn't know what was this thing. I admit the thought of a pterodactyl did cross my mind, but it didn't have a beak or it didn't have like a pterodactyl kind of beak or that protrusion on its head. In fact, the head looked very much like an owl. That's why I thought it was an owl. There was something owl-like about the head. It had like something coming up like this, like an owl. That's, at least I remember it being like, if my memory's hazy about this. I mean, this was happening really quick. I was driving. I was like, what's that? I didn't know what that was. And I thought maybe I should stop and get a better look. But no, I had to get to this appointment. So it was important to get to this appointment. My mind was like tunnel vision. I have to get to this appointment. So I kept on driving. I thought, it's just a bird or an owl. I'm not seeing correctly. Just forget. Let's go. And then I noticed in my rear view mirror there was a car behind me, and not right behind me. It was like 200 yards behind me, quite a bit behind me, but it slowed. I could see my rear view mirror. It slowed and stopped in the road, and there wasn't a stop sign or anything. There wasn't any cross traffic. It was just a single 2-lane road, and it stopped right where that branch was. And I realized as I was driving away, it saw, whoever the driver of that other car saw the same thing I saw, and was so bewildered that he actually stopped to get a better look at it, whatever it was. And again, I thought, boy, I better stop this car and turn around and go talk to that guy and say, hey, what is that thing? But then I said, no, I got an appointment. I got important things to do. I got to take care of business. So I just kept on going. And then later I went online. I looked up bats in Missouri. I said, it must have been a big bat. Now I'm Egyptian, and I've seen bats in Egypt, and they're big fruit bats in Egypt. If this had been in Egypt, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. I would have said, oh, it's one of those big bats. Because I've seen really big bats in Egypt. But in Missouri, we don't have big bats. In fact, the bats in Missouri are very small. There's only 2 species. I know this is Illinois, but it's like right by the border of Missouri. So in this region, this area, we don't have huge bats like that. In fact, I don't think anywhere in North America we have huge bats like that. That would have to be something like South America or Asia or Africa in the jungle. And even then I'm not sure, because it was pretty darn big. And I've seen big bats at the World Bird Sanctuary. I've seen them right up close. People have taken them out of their cages and shown them to me. They're really cute. I like bats. And that's not what this was. So I don't know what it was. Maybe it was what I originally thought, an owl, and just some reason looked like it didn't have feathers. I don't know. But it was right in the area where the Thunderbird legends are from, that southern Illinois area. That's Thunderbird country. So it was right where that stuff is supposed to, where people have seen those things. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was something. I don't know. What do you think? He has nothing to say. that's it for now. Join me next time for part 2 of the Cryptid box on Raymond Castile's Basement of Horror.